Hey Dan. Well, we've definitely got the knight on the ropes, but before we finish him off and claim victory on this map, I want to show you how to conquer counties that aren't currently controlled by another character. So as you can see, we have our army here on the border. The border is marked out by this little black and white line here. And so once they cross over from Taupe into Burnt Umber, we'll get a message from their local government.
The presence of your men-at-arms in our country is unacceptable. Remove your troops now or face the consequences.
So that's basically a way of saying that you are not welcome here. Now, we could just pass through their lands down south and head towards the Knight and his territory here in Raw Sienna. But instead, I want to show you what it looks like to conquer one of these counties. Now, obviously, we can't make it all the way to the town center in one turn or one season, so we'll need to spend a bit of time on the road here. But that's all you need to do, is just take one of your armies and move them to the town center. You see the circle turns orange, indicating that they will interact with the town center and attack it. So we'll just end the turn here. And the counties will put up some defense to prevent you from taking them over, but normally it's not too big of a challenge. Normally it's just a mix of mostly peasants and sometimes a few archers. And so we can move all the way up here. Now before I attack, one thing that I will note is that you can conquer any county on the map, regardless of whether or not it is controlled by one of the other AI characters, or whether it is sort of independent. As you can see here, it has no color. But you will only maintain control if it shares a border with a county you already control. So we started in Periwinkle, and I'm going to make a couple of adjustments here. We started in Periwinkle, then we were able to take over Taupe, because they share a border, and now that we have control of Taupe, we can take over Burnt Umber. Otherwise, the county will remain independent even though you have defeated their defense. Let's see what that looks like. And once again, yes, so 196 peasants and 100 archers. We not only outnumber them, but we have a vastly superior force here. So we won't auto-calculate this battle. We will just give you another example of how things look, and here's a slightly different battle map. So as you can see, they have their defenses here. And it actually looks like some pikemen. Interesting. Archers there, peasants there. Might have missed those pikemen. Alright. And our troops here. Once again, of course, the battle starts paused. But this is a much more open field than the last battle map we were on. So as you can see, your tactics will sort of change depending on the terrain that you find yourself on. So there's no real choke points here, so instead I just want to get my melee troops out in front. And it looks like they're going to mostly just be retreating into a corner, which is not a bad move if you find yourself outnumbered. You can use the edges of the map as a sort of hard border to defend. Very good. Now if we can move people up quick enough, we might be able to intercept some of this group. But instead, we may just send these folks all straight forward, and yeah, you can see they're basically just trying to avoid us as much as possible. So we will send them up and trying to keep our melee forces forward and keep our archers towards the back. Now you can see how everybody just sort of clumps together, and this is alright. We'll just fire into their line of peasants there until they respond. There we go. And I'm just going to take out all the bows here from my selection. There we are. Just to make sure I've got my melee troops sort of front and center. Otherwise, as you can see, they tend to just bunch up. In fact, there's this one maceman that's kind of stuck there. Very good. And we're just going to move everybody up a little bit. Get them a little bit closer. Oh, and they've made the mistake of leaving their archers out in the open. So, what I'm going to do is engage them in combat. Yeah. So not only are the AI opponents not that great, but when there isn't actually one of the AI characters leading their forces, they tend to be even worse at strategy. So at this point it basically just becomes a matter of making sure that everyone is engaged. As you can see, if they clump up too much, then you kind of have to tell them to loop around to engage. Very good, but now everybody is fighting. No one's left out. I'm going to move them forward, just in case they don't have any good targets. Move them forward so that once they're done, they can sort of attack these pikemen or spears here. Very good. At this point, you can basically just tell the whole host to head forward and attack this last formation. Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't noticed that, but they have pikemen who are, well, they're, I won't say animated, they're sort of drawn differently than the standard. And finishing off the last of their defenses. Remind the swordsman that he can, in fact, go behind and attack there. So we can get this pikeman to fill in that space there. At this point, we could actually hit auto-calc and it would definitely go in our favor. Or we could turn up the game speed to make this go just a little bit faster. And there we are. They have one person left. Everyone just swarm in. There we go. Very good. And once that's done, very nice little victory animation we get there. And, oh yes, so yeah, I had missed that. They had 70 pikemen. Interesting. Alright. And we lost a few. You know, the knights always go in first and tend to get hit pretty hard, along with the macemen as well, who aren't very heavily armored. And of course, yes, we defeated the people. You know, it's unfortunate, but you know, it is just a game, so there is that. And once we close this, we'll get a little message.
This county all but seals your conquest. One more county, and the crown is yours.
And the audio mixing is a little off on that. Now, once you do take over a county, you'll usually have to make a few adjustments. So, first thing I like to do is just drop the tax rate down to 0. So they're not going to pay you any taxes, but every turn or every season you'll be getting 5 more happiness points. You can see that, yes, right now they are at a 79 average happiness. 10 of those, or 10 negative points from the conquest that just happened. So, if we have a look at what's going on here, so we basically just have people doing nothing but raising cattle to eat, which is fine, but, you know, we'd like to open up their diet a little bit, so I'm going to make that change there, and start planting some grain. Very good. Now, there aren't any merchants in this county right now, none of the merchant wagons that are across the border, but one thing that you can do, once you have conquered a county, if you conquer a county and there is a merchant there, you can immediately buy some alcohol to improve people's positive feelings of happiness. And you can also use that to buy any food, whether that be cattle or grain, because sometimes when you take over a county, it's in a very bad spot economically, or in terms of the amount of food that is available. But they seem to be doing all right. There's a lot of crowding in those cattle fields, but we'll take care of that from there. And another way that you can deal with that is to go to one of your other counties and use this button here to send supplies. So you would select Burnt Umber and then say that you want to send so much grain and so many heads of cattle. But because those supplies can take such a long time to get there, it can actually be advantageous to send them first along with your army before you conquer it, so that by the time you've conquered it, there's only one more turn before the supplies arrive. Alright, Dan, that's everything for now. Next time, we'll take over this last bastion of the night, and because he's got a little, what do we call that? That's the, not the Mott and Bailey, that's the wooden palisade. We will get to show off some of the siege weaponry as well. Alright, Dan, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.